Hello Badminton fans, and welcome to Badminton Racket Review and to racket number, I always forget, it's 668, racket number 668. So we have with us today the Apacs Nano Fusion Speed XR. Now before we go on to talk about this racket, a few changes you need to know about. The E-Zone scoring is changing from 2020. This is what the E-Zone now will look like from next year. You can see we've extended the number of tests, objective and subjective testing. So the E-Zone being the objective testing, the court testing that I do with one of my colleagues is a subjective testing. So we've got now a deeper, even deeper understanding of each and every racket. Also, the other functionality that's changing in the E-Zone is we will be adding a search bar, so you can search for rackets, which is recommended by our subscribers. And then the final change there is we are no longer going to do the bucket test where we used to do a drop shot and the shuttle will land in a bucket and we will score. We now do an overall test as we're using the racket on how we perceive the control to be, which we think is going to be more helpful to our subscribers and users. Finally, the format of this video is now going to change. While we will still talk about the price, availability, the product specs according to manufacturer, the E-Zone specs, and then the design, we will also immediately conclude on our conclusion on what we think of this racket, and then we will go on to the E-Zone smash test and maneuver test. So the people who want to see that test, those tests taking place, they can still see them, but we've just changed the format slightly so people who just want to get to the point and know what we think of this racket can get to that point a lot quicker. If you're not familiar with the E-Zone is a platform where we can compare badminton rackets in greater detail than ever before. There's more details on a link below on how to use the E-Zone, and also if you go to our website www.badmintonracketreview.co.uk, you can find out more there too. So the Apacs Nano Fusion Speed XR, rough price £45, availability. There's a link below to buy this racket if you're in Europe, www.badminton-racket-review.com. If you are in Asia, you can go to Badminton Bay to buy this racket and use this discount code at the checkout to get a discount on the racket. It's better to buy from Badminton Bay in Asia, and it's better to buy from us in Europe. So £45 represents absolutely brilliant value for money with this racket. Now, let's go through the specs. The weight of this racket, overall weight here, it says 76 to 79 grams, making it super duper light. According to our weight test at the E-Zone, it weighs 82.4 grams with the grip supplied by Apacs and the Yonex BG65 string at 25 pounds. Balance points 285 plus or minus 5, says here on the shaft. The E-Zone balance point, however, significant difference there at 303, so slightly more weighted. They're suggesting it's a more even balance. We're suggesting it's slightly more weighted towards the head. That's not a lot of difference, but it's a difference nevertheless. Shaft stiffness, they have rated it as 8 to 9 on the racket here, 8 to 9, and we are rating it as stiff. Shaft stiffness as stiff. Our own E-Zone testing shows it to be a stiffer shaft. I think that's about right actually. They're saying 8 to 9, so that's got to be towards stiff. Right, other information that you will find helpful on this racket. Let's go to our specs sheets here. So maximum string tension, just make sure that's correct. Yeah, it's 30 pounds. I'm surprised because Apacs renowned for massive string tensions, but only 30 pounds on this. Still good, but not quite what we expect from Apacs. It's not written on here where this racket is made, but I suspect this particular racket is a Chinese produced racket, which is, you know, it's not a problem. Any other information on here? It's made of high modulus graphite, nanotechnology. We've been seeing that for years on rackets now. Nanotechnology, nano fusion speed, nano fusion speed. Okay, that's everything that says that is written on the racket. You've seen our specs for the racket too. Now, in terms of design, it's quite a nice design, red and black infused. I do think that some of the paintwork that, if you look at it from the side, there are some small parts of it that just aren't quite as nice as the Asgardia, quite as well finished. That's a Taiwanese produced racket, but certainly we have never come across an issue with Apacs quality ever. So you can be sure when you're using these rackets they will last as long as any other brand. They don't go into quite the elaborate detailing and paintwork that maybe Kawasaki do or Victor do, but still very nicely done. Take a look at these close-up pictures and see what you think for yourself. Right, so before we go on to the E-zone testing, what do we think of this racket and its performance? Well, go to the E-zone page here. It scored really respectably on the E-zone testing, really respectably. The primary notes for you to take from this racket would be it's reasonably quick in the air. I think that the primary things to look out for here are it feels very light to use. As you can imagine, with that kind of weight, it's very light. It feels very fast in the air. It feels very quick. Light, fast normally go together, don't they? It does feel medium to stiff. It doesn't feel very flexible. For some people that will be a plus point. It can deliver a reasonable smash. So you're not going to don't think this is super lightweight, can't smash it. It can actually deliver a decent amount of power on the smash. Overhead shots are largely not bad. I think that the slightly stiffer shaft does make it that little bit hard to get the repulsion out of, so you're going to have to push a little bit harder for those overhead shots. You do, however, get excellent level of control from the racket at the front, even from the back, directing the shuttle. Good levels of control. It's also very good at drive. So all round, this racket is a nice racket to use. However, if you are a beginner, if you're an intermediate player, that slightly stiffer shaft might be an issue for you to get the shuttle away, because you're not getting as much flex out of the shuttle. You're going to have to just ping it a little bit harder, making sure your grips are correct to maximize all of your wrist power and your shoulder power, but we're not going to get into technique today. So I'd just say if you're a beginner, maybe a little bit too hardcore. Intermediate, advanced players, no problem at all. You shouldn't have any trouble with it, and you should find it actually very capable in most areas of the game. So at the price point, £45, it's definitely going to be a thumbs up for this Nano Fusion Speed XR. At £45, it puts itself directly in competition with our Bros. We're going up against the Hammerhead. We're going up against the Venom and the Nano 9900. I haven't mentioned the Force Light because that's a very light racket. Also, it doesn't smash as hard as this racket can, but the Venom, the 9900 and the Hammerhead will compete for smash power with this racket without any problem at all. So which one would I choose out of these, because that is the question we all Arc Saber 15 or Arc Saber 5, Nano Ray 11 or Nano Ray 18. That's constantly all we ever get. So I would say that comparisons here directly with this racket, Astrox 39 slightly more expensive, slightly better feel to that racket all round, I would say, and slightly easier to use. All of the Abros rackets are easier to use than this racket. The Venom, possibly the biting point on the Venom, slightly narrower, making it slightly harder to hit the sweet spot every time, but still a very capable racket. The Venom is easier to use. The Nano 9900 is an easy racket. It's flexible, has a large sweet spot. Can't go wrong really. If you're a hardcore player, you want something a little bit more hardcore, then I would say that you should consider this racket. It's slightly more hardcore than the Hammerhead in terms of stiffness. The Hammerhead is an in-between racket. but I don't think the hammerhead has the smash capability that this racket does have. So what are we saying? If you're an out and out attacker, you're an intermediate advanced player, you know you have good technique, you are used to using slightly stiffer rackets, then this racket is going to work very, very well because it's fast in the air, and if you have the power to get the shuttle to move off your shots, then this racket is definitely worth trying. If you are a person who wants an easier life, still wants the power, then I would go to the hammerhead. It's not quite as powerful as this, but it's still powerful enough. But if you really just want something that's easy to use, gives you good all-round performance, then still the Apacs Nano 9900 or the Venom, both of those rackets still are the easy choices, but they have a much more flexible shaft. I hope that's helpful to you. I'm going to now move on to the E-Zone testing. If you already know all about the E-Zone, then you can sign off. And before you go, let me thank you for your support. Let me thank you for the shares, the likes. The more and more reviews we're starting to see on YouTube, the more reviews we're starting to see on the E-Zone. Please keep doing that. So important that people get your reviews. You know the score. If you don't like what we've had to say, it doesn't matter. If your experience has been different to what we've had to say, it doesn't matter. Just express your views so people do get a balanced understanding of the racket, which is all we're here to do. We're not here to profess to be the almighty reviewers on the planet. We are trying to make sure that people get a really good understanding of the racket they're interested in buying. That's the primary purpose of Badminton Racket Review. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the love. Keep sharing, keep liking. I'm going to move on to talk about the E-Zone. If you know all about that, see you on the next video. And if you're sticking around to see the E-Zone testing, let's go quickly through that now. So the E-Zone is a platform where we compare rackets in detail that has never been done before. We make it easy to compare between 19 different world manufacturers with nearly 700 rackets now tested. All of our tests, we use the Yonex Aerosena 30 Badminton shuttlecocks, and all of our rackets are re-strung with Yonex BG65 string at 25 pounds of tension. We use the same player for all of the tests. We used to have 3 tests: control test, smash and maneuver. We now only have the smash and maneuver test. We've changed the parameters of the control test based on the feedback from our subscribers and users. So the smash test and the maneuver test are 6 shots. If we're happy with how the shots have gone, we take the 2 highest readings. For the maneuver test, the 2 highest speed readings of the head in movement, and for the smash shot, the 2 highest shuttle readings in movement. We then average those out and we get a smash speed and smash score, and we get a maneuver speed and maneuver score, and we then put those those results into the E-Zone for our users to be able to see and use for their own personal information and make a choice on whether they're going to buy that racket or not. Here are the Nano Fusion Speed XR smash and maneuver tests. As soon as those tests are done, we'll be signing out, so I'm going to say bye now. If you want to see those tests, here they come. We'll see you on the next video.